Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closin.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Alan Miles, founder of Alan Miles Consulting. Alan will be sharing more about his founding journey and giving us a glimpse into plans for future growth. Alan, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Yeah, good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm very much excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about your journey. So, Alan, with all of my guests, I do like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you jumped into the consulting space, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, so for me, I jumped into the consultancy space about 8 years ago at this point now. The reason that for me, I jumped into that world, I'd previously built several businesses, I was working in the recruitment industry, and I just got to a point where I wanted a bit more work-life balance. I was doing 60, 70 hours a week. We built a successful recruitment consultancy, and I wanted to see my kids, to be completely honest. So we sold the business to the other business partner. It was one of those situations where the other partner knew the business would essentially collapse once I left because the customers had come with me over a long time in the industry. So we were doing about 1.5 million a year, and they offered to buy me out for my original investment, which was £49, in an effort to keep me pinned in the company. So I took that £49 and held on to it in my wallet for quite a few years to just really remind me of the cost of freedom, because I think that if I hadn't have had a supportive network behind me, so my wife, if she'd have said to me, no, you need to stay there because it's the best thing for the family, I would have stayed there. But she said to me, I don't really know what's going to happen, but I trust you, so I'll support you either way. So I took that leap. And I think that for me, fundamentally, that drives a lot into a lot of the consultancy work that we do of, yes, we help people build businesses, and yes, they're set processes, but just because you can build something doesn't mean you should. And I think that learning and understanding what you actually want to build is the first step. Because for me, I wish I had did what I've done several years earlier, because it just changes your life once you can finally live a life that you enjoy.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more with you. And I feel like not only in business or in founders, but even within any job that you're going to get, a lot of people do just chase that. And then once you kind of get stuck in that hamster wheel, you do tend to keep going along the grind. And then kind of halfway through, you realize that might not be what the ambitions for the company you started were. Do you know what I mean? It's like you need to redefine your version of success and kind of live your life how you want to do so. And actually, as a founder, you do get to have that benefits of building that around your life, or vice versa, whichever suits you. And there's no wrong or right answer in that. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that journey. And kind of makes sense as you do come into that consulting space. So let's dive into that a little bit more then, just so the listeners can have some context moving forward. So Alan, at this point who would you say is your ideal client? Like, who do you very, very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how would you help them, and how would you support them along their own journey?
Yeah, so essentially the person that I work with is somebody who I refer to in the messy middle. So typically north of 20,000 a month if they're in the coaching space themselves, but they're in that kind of stage where they've proven what they have works, but essentially every decision in their business rests on them. The minute they step out of their business, it stops working. They sometimes claim that it doesn't, but it does. They take a week's holiday, and by the end of the week's holiday, they're desperate to get back to work because they know that everything's on a knife edge and about to collapse. So for me, it's really about working with those people they're clearly experts in their field, but they're missing that structure and that process of how to grow their business instead of being stuck in launch mode constantly, and that almost like that trauma response of I have to do everything, I have to be the hero in my business. And you see that business, typically their revenue levels will fluctuate up and down depending on how hard the founder grinds, and how recently they were burnt out, etc. So for me, I like working with that person because it's a version of myself. I've been through that journey, and I think that for me, that kind of being the hero in your business, it's one of those positively toxic traits. Like, it looks really good on the outside, and you get praised for being that way, of being the one who needs to rescue every customer, who needs to do every sale, who needs to fix everything. But the reality is, once you get past that initial concept of understanding this product or service works, and you then need to start building a business, that's the moment that you need to be able to learn how to offload things. So I like to keep things as simple as possible. So we use simple processes, uh, like a three-step process of manual action, time buyback, scale, to work through every single part of the business. And it's really about identifying what's the first bottleneck, if we were to look in a micro term, that's stopping that business from being able to grow. And then we
Yeah.
build that healthy habit through offloading that process. So it might be something as simple as um, letting people into a community each and every day instead of needing to be there. Does the founder really need to be the one clicking the button? No,
Yeah.
not really. So then it's a case of understanding what's that process to get that handed off, build the confidence so that you can hand off more and more. Yeah, and that's really who we work with and how we start to approach things.
Yeah, beautiful. So as you say, it's very much that founder that has built themselves a glorified job at the end of the day. They need to really
Essentially.
much get out of the weeds, get out of the trenches of their own business so they can start running it instead of obviously being involved with every action. And I feel like it's a thing a lot of founders do struggle with. So naturally you've been in that position, you can very much help them from their point of view. And it
Mhm.
is obviously they've nourished that baby, they've built that baby from the start. So there is a lot of like kind of mindset that does come into that shift as well. But as you say, it's those small little tasks that you can offload, but will make a big impact and a big impact and a big decision in that growth of the business. So do you very much get in the trenches with the clients you're working with? Like, what is your style or your approach?
Yeah, so for me, I've always considered myself to be an operator. So getting under the hood of the business, like rolling up my sleeves, getting dirty. I think that that's for me where I've always thrived and enjoyed because you can see that immediate feedback loop. And it's why I
Yeah.
specifically don't work with that really high level business who's at multiple, like eight, nine figures, because for me, there's something really nice about, you said something interesting then about it's their baby, they've built it, they've nourished it, etc. And I think that that mentality is something that is important to the person. Like my
Yeah.
business is important to me, but it's about starting to understand once you get into that messy middle, it's no longer your baby. It's no longer something that we should have an emotional attachment to. It now needs to become a business, not
Yeah.
a passion. And it doesn't mean that we should stop enjoying what we're doing, but it means that we need to be able to just look at hard data and start to actually spend time, yes, in the trenches in the business doing things, but being able to have those messy conversations with the business owner to help them see that they're in a safe space to talk, but they need to
Yeah.
actually level up themselves because sometimes I think that you see a business owner who's built something to maybe low six figures and they're successful. Like from the outside to the normal person, they look and they see, wow, this person's living a great life. But the thing that stops them from moving from six to high six or seven figures sometimes isn't even the processes they're running. They actually have those things dialed in. It's just them. They need to
Yeah.
level up their ability. It's like riding a bicycle going to a car. Like just because you can ride a bike doesn't mean you can drive a motorbike. It's the same. It's the same. It's a vehicle, but it's a different vehicle, and it's learning how to go through those things. So I care a lot about my customers and my clients, and really getting in there with them is a real big part of what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. And as you say, it's very much similar to anyone that's kind of been thrown into a leadership role at work, like necessarily you're very good at your job, you're very good in your field, especially if you're a coach, like that's your speciality. But you do need to take on those leadership responsibilities, grow that team. And as you say, it's almost like letting your kid flourish on its way to university. Like you're still there, you support it, you make sure it's doing the right thing, but essentially let it grow yourself so you can grow with it. And it
Mhm.
does it. That is the big difference from taking you, as you say, to six figures to like eight, nine plus, however you want to grow.
Mm.
One thing I'm very curious about finding out is obviously how you go about acquiring your customers. Naturally, it's a very busy world at the moment. So, like, what are you finding most successful in terms of like channels or methods in just finding those right people to work with?
Yeah, so we use two main mechanisms. We've become fairly well known for LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is one of those areas that a lot of my customers come to me about. How do we build cold traffic in those platforms, and how do we convert it consistently? So I think that cold outreach is very much overlooked by a lot of people as some second-rate lead generation source, simply because they just don't know how to do it properly. My entire career has been built around cold outreach. So for the first 5 or so years in the business, it was just straight cold outreach through LinkedIn. We would do some on the other platforms, but it just worked better on LinkedIn. From there, we also do ads. So we particularly favor two main ad mechanisms. So we have self-liquidating offers and we have follower ads. So I think that between those three components, you can then build a wide enough ecosystem to nurture people through outbound calling, emails, SMS, whatever it might be, conversion events, but we get our leads and our initial sales through those three mechanisms.
Awesome stuff. And are you running your ads across LinkedIn? So very much heavily based on that platform.
So actually, no, all of our ads, we don't run any ads on LinkedIn. We do
Very
all of
awesome.
our ads on Meta. So follower ads, Instagram only, self-liquidating offers across Facebook and Instagram, and all cold outreach is just done through LinkedIn.
Beautiful. I think LinkedIn is a great platform for cold outreach specifically. Running ads across LinkedIn can be a bit tricky, but
Mhm.
it's very good to pinpoint. And as you say, it's a beautiful platform to just like meet like-minded founders. You know, it's great to kind of get yourself and build up there. It's quite overlooked for the cold source, and I think it's
Mhm.
one of the best ones for it. And naturally, Meta is amazing, and running ads just brings a great consistency to your lead flow, no matter what you're doing. I think dabbling in the both is a really great aspect. And I take it you do have a team helping you out on the back end, Alan, and kind of
Yeah.
cover some of those hats as a founder yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So we have a team in place. We rest quite heavily on automation and AI. I have no interest in building a bloated team at this point. But yeah, we have a team in place from a delivery perspective and also then in the lead generation side of things, and the sales side. So yeah, we've had a team in place of about 5 people at this point. And then we do, like I say, we do a lot with AI from AI outbound calling, AI in the inboxes. And I think that when we look at processes, I don't think AI is here to steal everyone's job like it kind of gets made out to be. I think that it can definitely replace humans in areas where humans don't need to be, in things that humans typically don't do well in. So, repetitive, monotonous work that requires a certain level of detail, being able to have somebody in your inbox 24/7 and actually be able to prioritize doing the key outcome every single time, regardless of what just happened, that's great. The humans come in to be able to do that human connection component and to really connect and resonate in different ways. So I think there's space for digital team and human team, and it's just about finding the right mix.
No, I agree. It's very much you can use it to enhance your human performance and vice versa. I wouldn't not necessarily solely rely on AI, but definitely having it to do those mundane tasks, as you say, kind of lead gen, just those like messages, outputs, even emails going out. You know, you can stay on top of it as a human, but having that to help you speed up the process is a beautiful thing. So you've got a
Mhm.
very small and mighty team, is the way I'm going to put it. So that's awesome moving
Yep.
forward. And I suppose, what are your like goals or your ambitions for the company? Like when you think of maybe the next 6 to 12 months, what are those targets or those achievements that you're looking forward to deliver?
Yeah, so growth is a big one. Like I hit the big 4-0 last year. So for me, that 40 to 50 is a big time period where we're really looking for growth to be able to get to a point of exit.
Okay.
Do I have a specific revenue number in mind? No. Like, yes, we are looking for growth, and yes, we set obviously targets, etc., for growth. But I think that to remain congruent to how I work with my own clients, it's really about finding that balance of what do we really want from life. So, as a family, we want to travel, we homeschool our kids. So, there needs to be some kind of balance in there. Really, for me, the goal is to scale this business as high as we can without needing to be the hero in the business, essentially. So, we're really looking at, to be honest, probably low 7 figures, maybe touching on 8 figures at the high point. That's really all the aspiration is with this particular business. It's very much, I think that the coaching and consulting space is a feeder business to other opportunities down the line. It's a currently a moment in time. The education space is obviously massive, but I do think that it needs to funnel into other things for longer term wealth creation.
Yeah, so very much using this as a buffer, as you say, so then you can go on and do other things and obviously expand that income that everyone's looking for as well, which is a really cool aspect. So making sure it fits in with your lifestyle is still a big thing, and obviously practicing what you preach, you know, making sure you aren't kind of nourishing that business to the ground is a cool aspect. And where are you very much finding like the biggest challenge for yourself at the moment, either within the business or taking those next steps?
I think the biggest challenge is probably the same for a lot of the people that we work with is once you have something that's working, not finding ways to sabotage those things that are
Yeah.
working, like feeling like you need to over engineer something or feeling like you need to go back to those old ways of being the hero in the business to step in, like resisting those urges. And I think having um, that data driven discipline to just be able to execute the task in front of you, not
Mm.
allow yourself to get emotional. Remember that it is no longer that baby anymore. It's a fully grown adult, and you need to kind of give it a little bit of room to move. I think those are the key things from an actual growth perspective. The business is good. We're moving in the right direction with everything that we want. And it is just those human elements of who we
Yeah.
are as people, like making sure that Alan, the husband, isn't the one showing up in the office. It's Alan, the business owner. Those are the key things, really.
Yeah, I love that. It was a really great point to make. And Alan, I have one final question to ask you. So, if you could go back in time to a younger self and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
Um, Take the risk. I think that growing up, I grew up in an environment where I experienced quite a lot of loss at an early age. So I was fairly risk averse at a young age. And that led me to being very much that typical worker bee. I would show up early to work, be a good person, expect good things to happen to me because I was a good person, and understanding that actually the only person who can control your destiny and your outcome is you. Like luck, being a good person, none of those things have any bearing on your actual outcome. Yes, obviously we want to be good people and we should be good people, but if you have a feeling that you're pulled towards something and there's a risk there, as long as it's a calculated risk, it's not just a reckless like jump into complete and utter oblivion, you should take the risk. Like if I had taken risks at a much earlier point in life, things would be very different. I look at um, a lot of the people in the online space, and I'm one of the older people in the space at 40. And it's a case of, it's for me with my kids, that is really the lesson that we teach them. Like, how do they make money and what risks, how to assess a risk, how do I take that risk? And then giving them the confidence to just go after it, regardless as to what their friends might think or peer groups might think. Just go do you. Like, that's the key thing.
I love that. And that's such a beautiful thing that I think most people had from a very young age. So amazing you're passing that on to your family as well. And Alan, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to?
Yeah, so two main places. You can either reach out to me on any of the social media platforms. If you just put Alan Miles in, I'll come up as one of the top options, Alan spelt with a double L. Or just go to the website, alanmilesconsultancy.com, and you can connect with me there on all my socials.
Beautiful stuff. And thank you again, Alan. I really appreciate your time today. And
Thanks for having me.
no, thank you. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out Alan. Drop him a message on LinkedIn, as he just said. Check out the website, alanmilesconsulting.com. I'm sure he'd love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from zero to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we'll see you on the next one.